Hi everyone, in this series I will be covering all the important topics about JavaScript interview which you can prepare before your interview. So I'll be covering each topic one by one in my series. So the very first topic which is very popular in interviews is variable declaration. In what ways you can declare variables? Alright, so let's start. So the very first way to declare a variable is to use var keyword with the help of the var keyword. Right, so let me use this variable var full name is equal to my case var. So this is basically a variable which is declared with var keyword, and we are consoling log this value. So I can run by writing node and the script name, and it prints out my case value. Alright, now this is one way. Now we can also declare the variable with let as well. Now let's run this again. It works fine. Let. Now we can also declare a variable with the help of const. Let me run this again. My case value. So why do we need these three? Why not one can do our job? Why we need, why if there was where already, why we required let and const? So there is a difference between these three. So I will be talking about the differences now. So let me comment out this. So with var declaration, what happens is basically the problem which people were facing was when you declare a variable, let's say first name, first name. So this was the initial way of declaring a variable. So what happens if you try to redeclare this variable with a value something else? Let me run this. You can see we have first name. We have again declared the first name, and then I'm consoling log the value. Now let me run this. You can see this first name is containing case to all as a value, right? So it basically preferred this declaration. The first name contains this value instead of this. So when you are working on a code base which contains a lot of lines of code, you can by mistake declare the same variable again. Like here, first name is declared 2 times. So what will happen if you have some variable declared on somewhere at the top of your code? You might override that variable again, and you won't know, because JavaScript is not giving any kind of uh, warning or any kind of error which can help you detect this. So to handle this kind of problem, the concept of let and const came into the picture. So let's try to do the same with the help of let variable. Okay, I have declared let for 2 times. Now let me run the script. Oh, something is wrong. So as you can see, identifier first name has already been declared. So now when I declared the same variable with the help of let keyword, what happens? It is giving us an error, syntax error, that is telling us that first name has already been declared. So the redeclaration of the same name variable is prohibited, it means not allowed. Now let's see for the const. Let me, so I have also declared this again. Now I'll run. The same is again the error. First name has already been declared. So this was the main difference between var versus Latin const. Var versus Latin const. Now you will say, if there was let, why do we need const now? Because it is doing the same thing. It is also telling us the same thing. But what is the main idea behind the const keyword? So let me give you the same example. Let's move to this again. Let first name is equal to Mayank. Let first name is equal to Kestrel. Let me remove this let. Now let me run the script. Now you will see the difference. So it is containing Kestrel as a value. It's working. It's not saying there is any kind of error, right? There is no error. It is working fine. The code is working fine. The reason is because the declaration is done one time only. It's not redeclared. It's basically initialized again with some other value. The variable is declared only single time, one time. After that, you are assigning the variable a new value. Now this is possible. This is only possible with the help of let, not with the const. Now you will see the difference. Now I'll use this with const, right? Now let me run the script again. Now you can see one error came. Assignment to constant variable. Const is basically has a semantic meaning to it. It means a variable is a constant. Constant variable cannot change its value. Whenever we declare a const variable, we have to initialize it with some value, always in the same line. You cannot do like this. Let me remove this, and now you are basically declaring the variable first name and then you are assigning the value. It's not possible. You cannot do this. It should be in, you can see the error. Const declaration must be initialized in the same line. It will give error otherwise. So you are declaring a const variable with a value. And remember, this value you cannot reassign. It's not possible to reassign the value. Otherwise, it will give error. So you can understand the idea behind why we use var, let, and const. Var can override, and you can declare multiple variables with the same name, which can override some data in your code base. So to avoid that, the concept of let and const came into the picture. In case of let, what happens? You are basically preventing the multiple same name variable declaration. Okay, same with the const, but there is a difference between let and const. With let, you can reassign the value to a let variable, but you cannot reassign a value of a constant variable, const variable. So these are the few differences. Then I'll get more into the depth. I will talk about the scope of these three variables as well. So var basically has a functional scope. Scope basically means uh, scope basically means the range where the variable is accessible. Scope is the range where the variable is accessible. So when I talk about var declaration, the scope is for var, functional scope is there. Let me give you an example so that you guys could understand. I'll uncomment the code. So function basically means a function that variable has to has to follow. That means what the var variable we have declared, which is having a name greet, contains a string which basically says good morning, and we are consoling we are basically logging the greet variable, right? Now if you wish to access this greet outside this function, it is not possible. You will not be able to access this variable outside this. Let me run this code piece and you will see. Okay, you can see. uh, so basically I'll change greet morning. Okay, so I've changed the function name. Now let me run this again. You can see greet is not defined. So you can see you have declared this greet inside this function. Now you are logging this variable greet, but in the terminal you can see there is an error: greet is not defined. So basically it is not able to find the greet variable, which indicates that this is only accessible inside this function. Let me show you how. I'm commenting out this line and I'm basically uh, calling the function, right? So the function contains greet and it is consoling log the value inside this function. So let me run this script again. You can see good morning, it's printing good morning. So basically this variable is only accessible within this range, which is functional range. This is what I when I talk about functional scope. Now let's see for the let and const. Let me declare this as a let variable. Now let and const follow block scope. Let and const both follow block scope. Block scope basically means you have your curly braces. Within these curly braces, if you declare a variable with a value let with a declaration let and const, you will not be able to access outside this block. Let's try this. I'm declaring this variable let greet good morning, and I'm adding parenthesis. I'm adding the curly braces and writing this line of this variable declaration line inside this. So as I said that it's block scope, let and const are block scope, so it should not be accessible. The grade is should not be accessible here. It should give us error. So with this, I'll run the script again. We are calling the function greet morning. Okay, as you can see in the terminal, greet is not defined. It's again saying that greet is not defined, right? So it indicates that let variable declaration of greet is not accessible outside this block, this block. Now let's do it with const. Let me run the script again. Same error comes, console.log greet is not defined. Greet is not defined. So these questions are asked in interview many times. So whenever you will come across such questions with var, let and const, you will be asked these things a lot. That what is the difference between your var, let and const? Why do we need let and const when there was already var, right? So in this video I have talked about the variable declaration. In the next video I will be talking about hoisting. So stay tuned.